Hello, everyone. You are listening to the 36 Chambers of Crypto Taxes podcast, where we not only talk about crypto taxes, but we talk about the blockchain industry as a whole, because Lord knows you do not want to listen to a podcast. All they do is talk about taxes. And we want to, we want to highlight great people that's doing great things within the industry in hopes that you will all learn something from it and learn that there's life after taxes, but also you have to learn that there is taxes. But overall, we want y'all to just know what's going on in blockchain industry. And I'm going to be a little biased with our next guest because he's also part of a member of the greatest fraternity in the world, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Yo,
Jayon,
yo.
yeah, yo, yo. So we got introduced probably about a year ago with another fraternity brother. And we just had a conversation about crypto, cannabis, running the tax business. And this brother's just super smart, man. He's like the Tony Starks, aka Iron Man of the Avengers of accountancy. He owns his
Appreciate that, man.
businesses, very smart, and also he finds time to, do some great positive things in the world. So it's definitely a pleasure, it's an honor. And with all our podcast guys, we are not giving no investment tips. We are not giving no financial advice. All we want to simply do is just expose you to something that you may not know what's going on in the blockchain industry. So, Jayon, thank you for coming on today. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you for the invite and thank you for the gracious introduction. I wish my wife could have heard that. Jayon Dennis, CPA by trade. Been in public accounting for 20 plus years now. I got introduced to the blockchain space back in 2016. Looking at it from a disruption in the financial services arena. Fast forward to 2019, opened up a asset management company. The earlier part of 2020, opened up a asset management company called CenterBlock Asset Management, focused primarily on utilizing smart contracts for digital assets. That company metamorphed into helping and representing a lot of professional athletes as well as entertainers and actors who were interested in introducing or creating NFTs and bringing NFTs to the world. So through CenterBlock, we were able to create a on-ramp called Proximy, which was a technology that made this simplification of minting NFTs and the creation and kind of cookie cutter the smart contract creation for placing items or communicating directly or minting to the blockchain. So yeah, so that's where we are now. We have several dozen professional athletes and entertainers that we work with and that we on ramp for. We're actually coming out with a couple of new projects which are interesting in the authentication place that we're going to be able to tie, hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to tie physical assets directly to the blockchain.
So, with the media, especially with popular media, I feel like when crypto or blockchain is going up, it's like the greatest and best news. But when it's going through a so-called crypto winter, it's like doom and gloom. We told you so, we told you so. So, I guess, what is your views now, what's going on with the industry?
I love it. To your point, I think just like any financial industry or market, it's going to have a correction period.
Mhm.
If you recall, I hate using this parallel, but this is a parallel that's used a lot when it comes to crypto. The earlier years of the internet, right?
Uh,
You had the big boom. You had people making a lot of money in the first beginning, the early adopters, and then you had this crash, and people were saying, "Yeah, see, I told you you wouldn't be watching movies and having radio shows on the internet, or getting mail through the internet, right?" So you have these naysayers, and it cleaned the industry up a lot. But what's very important, I think, as a parallel, is as it relates to crypto, is that even though we're in this correction period, there's still a lot of building and investing happening. So to me, that's a clear indicator that crypto is here to stay. Obviously, the traditional markets, banking, find this very threatful because it taps into their network or disrupts their network. So if you have a network of more peer-to-peer, trustless transactions taking place, and that network grows and continues to grow, then there's no need to have, these centralized banking functions. And so you're going to have a lot of fuel thrown onto that. Once there's a correction period, you're going to have the naysayers, i.e., these banks and financial institutions who are saying, "See, I told you so. Keep your money with us." Or finance and transact with us.
So if I'm a superstar athlete, it's the year 2027. Like, how would these NFTs look by then? The correction is already corrected. We a little more advanced because every month
Mhm.
the advancements is crazy. How would it look for a superstar athlete or any athlete in 2027? NFTs.
Yeah, it's very similar to think of Web 2, social media.
Hmm.
When we say social media, we're saying it's full spectrum of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, right? So think of all that metamorph now into, you don't need to, you own that information. Like right now, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they allow you to on ramp for free
Hmm.
because the information and data that you're putting on that is what they're monetizing into trillions of dollars, right? So imagine you as a professional athlete or just a regular person, a non-professional athlete, you now have control and ownership of that, right? So you're talking about someone like, let's say the Kardashians that have, hundreds of millions of followers. They're only able to monetize off those hundreds of millions of followers based on advertising, right? Based on Instagram's,
Hmm.
algorithm, right? Like that calculates and say, hey, this is what you're worth. But now, what if they own 100, of those? If they own all of that data, they own the direct connection with their fans, and they're able. And I think the average monetization per fan is like $300, and you can Google this. So now you have 100 million followers, right?
Hmm.
300 $300 per year. You're talking about in terms of just monetization,
Wow.
$3 billion in just actual cash that's going directly to the Kardashians. So I mean, this is and that's a low number. So this
Wow.
so this 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 is definitely a game changer, right? So if that monetization stays where it is right now, you can look it up and say what's the average revenue per follower, social media
Hmm.
follower. I think it's somewhere between 280 and $300 now per year per follower. So if you're a professional athlete and you have millions of followers, right now, only way you can monetize in a Web 2 is to have a marketing contract with someone, right? And say, hey, I have 5 million followers. Okay, well, we're going to pay you, $500,000 to get access to your followers. But what if you keep that monetization to yourself? You're talking about $1.5 billion that you're keeping, or
Yeah,
150
that's even a
excuse me.
game changer for people that's local superstars. We all know like kids that's 14, 12 that got all these followers. They might
Correct.
or might not go to college. Maybe that's not their thing, but now they could like kind
Yeah.
of monetize that. That's yeah, that's a
Mm-hmm.
game changer. So like what is the best? Because it's so hard to find good information on social media. If somebody really wants to get great information on NFTs, like what
Yeah.
I learned about it, like where should they go to find this information that's unbiased and it's not like Snoop Dogg trying to teach me about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's quite a few mediums. It depends on, like, for me, I like to read, and I also like to listen to podcasts, right?
Hmm.
Like, but you have to be careful. Like, don't go on Clubhouse. I know a lot of people say go on Clubhouse.
Hmm.
Clubhouse, in my opinion, it's not for me. It might be for someone else, but there's a lot of misinformation. You get a lot of
Hmm.
misinformation from Clubhouse, like a ton. Everyone's an expert.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna
Um,
say that. Yeah.
yeah. So for me, like I receive, I'm a member at CoinDesk, which is great. It's a subscription. You can go to their website. Um, for um, for podcasts, I listen to Bankless, which is great. I listen to NFT Today. They don't come out with too many episodes, but they have guests on kind of, builders, people who are in the space actually building things. And they have interviews like this and they talk about, directions of what they're building and why they're building it. Um, there's one called Milk Road that I really like. It's a little colorful, but I think the analysis that they create is spot on, specifically with the Web3. So it depends on what you like. I like to read. Um, if you like to listen, if you like to watch. Bankless is they're very technical. So I enjoy it because they really dive into the technicalities of the space.
And I like to tell people to have a mixture because I feel like the best information, unfortunately, is the unsexy information that you get. They don't have the bells,
It
the
is
whistles, they're not doing the TikTok dances and all that stuff.
right.
But the ones that just give it to you straight, you can kind of trust them. Like, yeah, they might have some alternative thing, but then, yeah,
Mhm.
you might want to have it entertained because you want to, you don't want to be
Yeah.
boring 24/7. But just do know, guys, when it's a celebrity or like you said, Clubhouse, anybody's an instant expert, you definitely want to diversify what information is because you may listen to somebody and they say something and then someone says something completely different, like, oh man, that person is wrong. So you just don't want to be stuck on it, man. So, like, what is your number one tip on, I guess, just the average person on this? Should they read up on it? Should they try to create their own?
Yeah. I would say this, right? Like for the average person,
Mm-hmm.
you have to look at crypto, for what it is. Like my grandfather used to say, you have to go where the goats can get it, right? Um, so you know, crypto is a peer-to-peer network, right?
Mm-hmm.
Banks exist. They're not antiquated, but they're slow, and they exist because in earlier days people did not trust each other, right? They did not trust the transaction. You needed a place to secure your money, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
needed to make sure that you had this intermediary ensuring that when someone writes you a check or gives you a cashier's check or IOU or some form of coupon, that there's actually money there to
Mm-hmm.
be able to pay that, right? So that was the purpose of banks and why they were created. Now we've outgrown that. 99% of the cash that is in circulation, when we talk about fiat, the currency that's in circulation, it's all digital, right? So less
Mm-hmm.
than 1% is actually physical cash, right? So it's already on a digital ledger, that the banks centralize and control. So what blockchain allows to do is allow for you to eliminate that centralized ledger. It doesn't change anything else. It's just that intermediary, and now puts the ledger out in public that's immutable. So now you still operate in a trustless environment, but you don't need a bank in between.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what crypto is, right? And with that, that's going to expand significantly the network of people who are quote unquote able to bank, right? That's why I love the Bankless podcast because, out of 8 billion people in the world, less than a quarter of them actually have bank accounts, if you think about
Wow.
that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now with blockchain, that will allow everyone in the world to actually transact with each other in a trustless environment. So, and I say that because I think a lot of times we try to understand, the nuts and bolts of the technology, right? But most people don't understand AWS. They don't know how to program AWS. They don't know how, 50 something percent of 48% of Amazon's revenues is through coding, through its AWS software, right? And not the store. But they will still invest in AWS. I mean, excuse me, in Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you have to. and then I mean, I can go on for days in this, but um, I think a lot of times we try to, even I'm guilty of it. Like I went in and tried to teach myself Solidity. When I wanted to understand blockchain, I went really down into this rabbit hole for 14 months of trying to teach myself like the technical piece of it. But you don't, and I think an average person doesn't need to do that. You need to just look at the value proposition of what blockchain offers, what crypto offers, what NFTs offer, the smart contracts offer, and then just go from there, right? I
Yeah,
don't think,
and I love your explanation because that kind of explains why, you really gotta, think about why the banks are saying certain things because your explanation is very dangerous to their bottom line in general. So if a big bank say, "Oh, it's horrible, it's just a Ponzi scheme," you gotta really think of why they're saying that. Because a lot of people just see like, oh, I feel like the most general person just sees, okay, Bitcoin is 25, what, 19, but they don't know what the hell is going on with that, except, can they make a
yeah,
profit or they took a loss? So guys, it's just like really, really look into it. And like Jayon said, you don't need to be a technical expert 14 months in and get in. Just know the basics because that will protect you from, these Kardashians trying to, sell you a
yeah,
dream with the stuff and you gotta protect your neck because at the end of the day, it's your money. So they're gonna
yeah,
be good. It's your money that you're gonna lose. So you gotta really take it seriously as if it's like your health or a bank and stuff like that.
right. And look, the real Ponzi scheme, to be honest, is Wall Street, right? Like,
Uh-oh.
I'm being real. Like, you buy a share in a company, you buy stock in a company, you're not sharing in their profits. They're not writing you a check when they,
At all.
when they make income. It's all about what the next guy would pay for that stock option or for that stock price, right? So it's a complete Ponzi scheme, right? They
But the
take your
media is
money,
not
they
going to make
issue.
it seem that way.
Oh no, 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 no,
That's their
no.
people. That's their
Look,
friends. They people.
yeah, that's their people because unless you understand how it works, then you'll be like,
Mhm.
holy crap, this is crazy because you know I'll stay with the Amazon as an example. Jeff Bezos owns what, 9% of Amazon, 11%, somewhere around there
Mhm.
of Amazon. The other 89, 90% is owned by banks, right? So
Mhm.
they buy the stock and then they package it and then they sell it to the public, right? And so it's all a Ponzi scheme. Like they buy the IPO, they own a company, they package it into these mutual funds or these other securities, and then they sell it in your Fidelity, your Charles Schwab. That's what they do. And so and look, the banks are all in Bitcoin and crypto.
Oh
They're
yeah,
just not
yeah.
going to publicly say it. So yeah, don't fall for the okey doke, as we say.
Where especially JP Morgan, they up, they down, they love it, they hate it. They just make you all confused. It's like a
Yeah,
horrible
yeah,
ex-girlfriend. It's just like just mess with your mind. But but man, I know
yeah.
you want to get out there and enjoy yourself. How can people get a hold of you or learn more about your company?
Yeah, so you can go to CenterBlock, one word. Just it's spelled just how it sounds. CenterBlock, like center field, blockchain, one word. .co. And then from there, we have information in terms of the athletes that we work with. And then from there, you could go to Proxime, and that's Proxime.io, which is the on ramp that allows for the public to mint their
Mm.
own smart contracts.
Okay, I will make sure that they have that information. I know CenterBlock, but I don't have the information for the proximate. You could just text me that, I put it down there. And also, guys, this guy is very humble. If you're on LinkedIn, look at his profile, then you're gonna know why I call him the Iron Man because he got a whole bunch of other stuff that you may be interested in. And so this is just one of the things that he's doing. But man, I hope you enjoy your day. I'm honored that you took the time out to share your knowledge, man. And let's keep this going, bro.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All
Absolutely.
right. You have a good one.
All right, brother.
All
You
right.
too. Yo.